Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
Hey, Saturday afternoon in Wrigleyville. D-backs fans with us enjoying the atmosphere at places around the ballpark like the Cubby Bear and Murphy's Bleachers. And look who's back as well. We're inside the ballpark and Goldie is no longer gone. Back from Arizona, the new dad has rejoined us for the rest of this series. And just in time for the weekend, it's Game 2 against the Cubs. Diamondbacks baseball right here on Fox Sports Arizona. And greetings from Wrigley Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way on a very humid late summer day here in Chicago. An entertaining pitching matchup in store for you here today on Fox Sports Arizona. Robbie Ray for the Diamondbacks and Jake Arrieta for the Cubs. Let's start, Bob, with Robbie Ray, D-backs lefty. 8 strikeouts at his start at Coors Field on Monday.
Did a real nice job against Colorado Rockies. Pitching at Coors Field, not always an easy assignment, but Robbie had some of his best stuff we've seen recently from him. Pitched into the 6th inning, gave up only the 5 hits. He left with a 3-1 lead. Unfortunately, that did not stand up.
Well, in his last start Sunday at Dodger Stadium, Jake Arrieta had the best stuff he has ever had, a no-hitter with 12 strikeouts.
I mean, he's got good stuff all the time, but he was commanding everything in this start against the Dodgers. I mean, when a guy throws a no-hitter, obviously he's on top of his game. He's always had a wide arsenal of pitches. Everything was working well for him, putting the pitch right where he wanted every time against what we know is a very dangerous Dodgers lineup. Just tremendous.
And on a rotation with John Lester, who we saw yesterday, Arrieta has been the no-brainer best pitcher on their staff. Look at this month of August for Jake Arrieta. He went 6-0 in 6 starts. The last Cub to do that was Rick Sutcliffe back on that excellent 1984 Cub team.
You know, before this recent run in the month of August, all were obviously great. July was pretty good too, but this guy was just a nice pitcher. Had nice stuff, but he has taken it to a completely different level over the last couple months.
It is a hot, humid day here. The wind is blowing out, at least for the moment, at Wrigley Field. When we return, Goldie returns. The new dad is back. Andy and baby Jake doing just fine. Goldie on the comeback trail when we come back on Fox Sports Arizona. will you live the gig life? By Lone View Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone View Casino. And by Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter. Welcome back to Diamondbacks baseball here on Fox Sports Arizona. Back inside Wrigley Field. Steve Perfume and Bob Brenly with you. We want to extend our congratulations to Goldie and his wife Amy, the newest member of the D-backs family, welcomed into the world on Wednesday. Baby Jake, Amy and Jake are doing just fine, and Goldie is back in the ballpark today and in the starting lineup for Chip Hale's Diamondbacks. Matched up, Bob, with a guy that we often refer to as kind of the left-hand version of Paul Goldschmidt, Anthony Rizzo. So it's Goldie and Rizzo here Saturday and Sunday. Yeah,
two of the best first basemen in the game, and both very conscientious, which is why I think Goldie's going to come back in a big way. You see his numbers against the Cubs in his career. Knowing Paul Goldschmidt and his work habits and how important it is for him to represent his teammates, I think Goldie's ready to get back in there and do some damage today against the Cubbies.
7 career home runs against the Cubs, but this season in only 4 games, Anthony Rizzo has 10 RBIs against the Diamondbacks.
Well, we said he's the left-handed version of Paul Goldschmidt. Both these guys team leaders, and Anthony Rizzo just absolutely raking. Hit a long grand slam in the ball game yesterday. You get the feeling these two are going to be playing in a lot of all-star games together over the next 10 or 15 years.
And we'll be battling for NL MVP awards certainly over the next few years. Rizzo and Goldie, it's Arrieta and Robbie Ray, the Cubs and the Diamondbacks. Second of 3 here for you on Fox Sports Arizona. From Wrigley Field, a hot, humid summer day here. What's it like to play in this ballpark? Well, Mark Grace knows a little bit about that. The friendly confines. The Diamondback players have their reviews when we come back, and then it's first pitch. The Cubs and the D-backs on Fox Sports Arizona. Brought to you in part by your Valley Honda dealer, where you'll get more standard features for less money. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Mix One, great taste, no face, available at local retailers.
Diamondbacks in Chicago. The annual trip here to the NL Central Chicago Cubs means, of course, a visit to Wrigley Field. Jody Jackson back with you as they are getting set for first pitch. You can hear some of the ceremonies going on around us as the fans are excited this year with the Cubs in a playoff spot right now in that second wild card, so they would be set up for a playoff, or one-game playoff, that is, right now if the season ended today against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, Wrigley's had some renovations in this offseason, something that has never really been seen seen around here, but it is still the special place that was built over 100 years ago, and players cherish the ability to play here, and the manager, Chip Hale, recognizes how unique Wrigley is as well.
But it's fun to take BP in Wrigley, and that's why I said 3 days. We have 3-day games. If guys want to hit here, let's do it, because the crowd gets rowdy, and I think it gets the guys going. So you don't worry about guys being ready to play here. They'll be ready.
What do you think of the dugout area? And just, you said the clubhouse. It's a little tight in there, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I saw the dugout is really small, and I have to be careful not to jump and not to get too excited. I can hurt myself.
I grew up in Massachusetts, going to Fenway Park, so it kind of reminds me of that a lot. But yeah, it's been fun. Obviously, yesterday wasn't as fun getting beat, but there's a lot of history here, and it's really cool to come to a place where they've been playing for over 100 years.
I tell you what, the place looks great. You know, the speakers are a little loud, but I mean, it's not the same without just hearing the organ the whole game. But you know, I think it looks great.
Well, and Mike Harkey was a player here, as was assistant hitting coach Mark Grace. He will join me when we come back after break. Gracie is still beloved here by many of the fans here at Wrigley. Stay with us. More to come here as we get you set for first pitch from Chicago. The Diamondbacks and Cubs, game 2 of a 3-game series. Welcome back, fans here packing the house at Wrigley on a Saturday afternoon. It is warm this Labor Day weekend, and the fans love to see Mark Grace coming back, as they did in 2001 as a player with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and now as a coach with the team. You can tell he is still loved here. You see some Grace number 17 jerseys. Yes, Chris Bryant wears number 17 now, but you can still see Mark Grace jerseys in the stands, and I'm sure that will continue. Jody Jackson back here with you. We were able to take a few minutes of Gracie's time before today's game, before he gets his team ready to face Jake Arrieta, and he shared some of his memories and some of his thoughts on what a special place Wrigley Field is.
This place is incredible. I've been fortunate enough, Jody, to travel the country and to travel a lot of places in the world. I still haven't found a better city than Chicago, Illinois. I love living in the Phoenix area, but Chicago, Illinois is a really cool city.
Well, you were just saying this is a neat time of year because you know, the Cubs are contending. It's Labor Day weekend. It's kind of, as Bob put it yesterday, Bob Brenly said, you know, it could snow next week. You never know. So they're reveling in the heat. It's 90 degrees or 85, and so this is pretty special.
Yeah.
The Cubs are in it.
Yeah, Chicago is a sports town. It's a big city, but it doesn't have LA's Hollywood. It doesn't have New York's Broadway. The entertainment here in Chicago is the sports teams, and the Cubs are contending. It's a Cubs town, but the Bears are about to start. Of course, the Blackhawks are winning Stanley Cups, and you know it's a sports crazy city because that is their entertainment here. I had 13 great years. Most of my individual accolades are in the Cubs uniform. My best team moments are obviously with the Arizona Diamondbacks, the great teams that I played on there. But you know, individually, you know, all the most hits in the '90s, the Gold Gloves, all that stuff was done in a Cubs uniform. This is a special city. This is a special ballpark. This is the Mecca of the National League. You know, it's been here. I think I was here, and they built it around me in 1906, Jody. So I'm that old anymore.
Well, you know what? When you came back here with the Diamondbacks, that must have been kind of weird, right, in '01?
Yeah, I had honestly never been in the visitors' clubhouse, so I went to the visitors' clubhouse, and it was very strange sitting in the first base dugout rather than the third base dugout. I think that was the year the Cubs were really, really bad that year, and we were a World Series caliber team, but. You know, I had got a big ovation, and you know, there's still love for me here. That's the thing about Cub fans. If you just gave them a solid effort, whether you won or whether you lost, if you gave them your heart and soul every day, they loved you. And I'll always love these Cub fans. They're amazing, and they're out in full force this weekend.
They certainly are. This fan base is invigorated by this Cubs team with 76 wins and 57 losses, and rookies leading the way. And the home runs yesterday, well, the ball was flying out of the ballpark. 4 by the Cubs, including a grand slam by Anthony Rizzo. The Diamondbacks hope to get in on that a little bit today. As Gracie mentioned, the wind blowing out. So stay tuned for the matchup coming up next.
As it were, difficult day here yesterday, but as Chip Hale told us this morning, you know, that Friday loss was one to forget, and the great thing about baseball is you get to play the next day, and the best thing of all, Chip said, is today the Diamondbacks get Goldie back, a good leader, and he has definitely, Bob, been missed.
I'll tell you what, whether it's a day or a week or a month, anytime Paul Goldschmidt is not in this Diamondbacks lineup, there's a completely different feel to it. You can almost sense the team missing his presence in the middle of that lineup, so it's really good to see Goldie back in the Sedona red and gray.
And look at him in the Diamondback dugout, sizing up your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for Chicago. It's Jake Arrieta, the 29-year-old right-hander. John Lester may have been the big free agent signee with the Cubs, but it's been Arrieta who is their ace. He threw a no-hitter in his last start Sunday at Dodger Stadium. Here's Chip Hale.
So we're going to have to hope that coming off the no-hitter, after for 9 innings to have to mentally focused like he did, it's tough to come back. That's why you don't see, obviously, back-to-back no-hitters. So hopefully today maybe he has a little mental letdown. But we're going to have to battle and just get the pitches we can handle. His cutter is as good as there is in the game.
Against the Dodgers Sunday, Arrieta struck out 12, walked 1. His 17 wins are the most in the major league. Zach Greinke is the only starter in baseball with a better ERA.
I mean, everywhere you look up and down the stat sheet, Jake Arrieta just shines for the Cubs this year. Two-seamer has really become a good weapon for him as well. The slider, you heard Chip Hale talk, might be one of the best in the game. At times it looks like a cutter. At other times it's a little bigger, has more sweep to it. Arrieta's best pitch may be that curveball that he doesn't use that often, but obviously a lot of weapons at his disposal, and he knows how to use them, and when he's commanding those pitches, he can do what he did last time out against the Dodgers.
It is a packed house in here on a Saturday afternoon in Chicago. That playoff atmosphere as they get closer here really starting to build. The Cubs have won 15 of their last 19 in this ballpark, and they are tough to beat these days. Bill Welke is our plate umpire, and we are underway with strike one to Ender in CR2. Ender 295 and 4 home runs. Javier Baez getting the start at third for the Cubs. Chris Bryant is in the outfield. Baez was in on the grass, but now with a 1-1 count, he'll back off a bit. And it's a ball and 2 strikes.
One thing I've noticed in this series so far, a game and a batter, Dexter Fowler really plays a shallow center field. Now the wind is blowing out at this point here at Wrigley. As we talked about yesterday, it could change from inning to inning, batter to batter, pitch to pitch. But right now the wind blowing out and Dexter Fowler playing very shallow in center field.
Arrieta. Underhand toss is there in time, 1 away. The lineup for Chip Hale's Arizona Diamondbacks, presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Ender Inciarte in right field. A.J. Pollock out in center. Paul Goldschmidt back in the lineup at first base. Good to see. David Peralta cleaning up out in left field. Jared Saltalamacchia with good numbers against Arrieta will be doing the catching today. Jake Lamb at third. Brandon Drury at second. Chris Owings at shortstop. You can see 8 for 15 on this road trip with 3 doubles. He's driven in 3. And Robbie Ray, the lefty, will be on the mound for the Diamondbacks.
Bill Welke, after one batter, already toweling off back there. He shared the towel with David Ross. This is going to be a hot day to be back there catching and umpiring. About a 30% chance of thunderstorms here. Humid and hazy as A.J. Pollock steps in. A.J. 5th in the league and hitting at .320. He's got 15 homers, 2nd in the National League in runs scored, and back in a 2-hole today. Quickly 0-2.
This is one of those days, if you're a pitcher and you wake up at the team hotel, you look out the window or you get to the ballpark, you walk up the first ramp you see and check the flags. And if you're a pitcher, today's the kind of day when maybe your neck is a little sore. I don't know if I can throw today, Skip. I'm not quite so sure I can help the team.
The wind yesterday blowing in from center field where the lake is, but today it is clearly blowing out.
It's a challenge. Any pitcher on a day like this, whether you're in Cincinnati or Chicago or anywhere with the wind blowing straight out, obviously you want to keep the ball down with some movement, try to get ground balls, keep it out of the air.
Now, in your experience here, will it stay that way the rest of the game, or is inning to inning, hour to hour?
If you wait about 10 seconds, it might change again, but it feels like one of those days here in the Chicago area. Wind out of the south, blowing basically from right behind the stadium over the field of play and out toward the bleachers, to right now a little bit toward the left field. So usually on days like this it blows all day.
First test for Chris Bryant getting the start in left field today. This is a new twist as of late for the Cubs, trying Bryant to corner outfield spots. And here's Goldie.
A lot of the newer ballparks, you can go down the steps in the dugout and up into the tunnel and find a cool air-conditioned place to go between innings and just get a little break from the heat. But you'd have to take a long walk from the dugout on the first base side to get back to the clubhouse where the air conditioning is.
Goldie's first game as a dad. Congratulations again to Paul and his wife Amy, proud parents of a baby boy, Jacob, baby Jake, and mom Amy, both doing very well back home in the Valley.
This also just in, the Diamondbacks have signed Jake Goldschmidt to a lifetime contract.
Right. He will report to Visalia next week. 2-0. Chip told us before the game today that Goldie certainly felt comfortable enough, knowing Amy and baby Jake are doing just fine, to return to the team today. A big lift off his shoulders. And he feasts on Cub pitching. And it has to be a relief for Goldie, knowing that the family is well and healthy. Chip said today he believes, you know, there probably was some pressure for Goldie waiting for baby Jake to arrive, and we may have seen that in his occasional moments over the last few weeks, like the outburst at the bat rack at Chase Field last week. Certainly entitled. But all is well, and he's back. 2-2 pitch.
Got in the middle of his windup and wasn't quite sure that was the pitch he wanted to throw, so he just stopped.
You can do that with the bases empty. I guess he changed his mind halfway through.
Well, I guess this is better than throwing a pitch you're not really committed to. Wait a minute.
That's David Ross behind the plate to run through the signs again. One more time on 2-2.
David Ross was behind the plate for John Lester yesterday, his personal catcher, and they had a lot of issues in the early part of the ball game.
Boy, did they. Yeah. And no Miguel Montero in the Cub lineup today against the left-hander Robbie Ray. 3-2 pitch. Goldie drives it to right, and it's in front of Austin Jackson out there. Welcome back. A 2-out single.
Batting 1,000 as a new dad. Went down and got that one. That's not a bad pitch from Arrieta. Just nice hitting from Goldie to go down and get the barrel on it. Had to back up Austin Jackson out there in right field to make the play.
So Jake Arrieta proving that he is no Johnny Vandermeer. There's the base hit. David Peralta. Ball 1-2 Peralta, 306 and 14 home runs. David 1 for 4 yesterday.
We talked so much about getting the motor started and getting those runners in motion on base against Lester yesterday. Jake Arrieta give up his fair share of stolen bases. 21 times opposing base runners have stolen. Only 6 times have they been caught. I think for Arrieta, getting guys on base. That's the Dodgers.
It's not usually an issue for him. Take a look at the Cubs defensively around Jake Arrieta.
As you mentioned, some changes today. Chris Bryant moves out to left field. Dexter Fowler in center. Austin Jackson in right. Javier Baez playing third base today. Addison Russell and Starlin Castro make up the double play combo with Castro at second base. Anthony Rizzo at first, David Ross catching, and Jake Arrieta on the mound.
Up the middle and into center. Goldie will take the turn. He'll get third base here. They're on the corners now for Jared Saltalamacchia. A base hit for Peralta. Back-to-back 2-out singles for the Diamondbacks.
Castro playing David Peralta to pull on the right side of the infield, but Addison Russell playing straight up at the shortstop position, so he's able to sneak it up the middle of the field, and Goldie realizes he can advance on to third base.
Well, that's a great example of David just continuing to hit the ball up the middle, use center field, use left field. He's really become a much more complete hitter. And a chance for the Diamondbacks to get to Arrieta immediately. Here's Jared Saltalamacchia.
I mentioned Salty had good numbers against Arrieta. Granted, only 4 at-bats, but 3 hits, including 2 doubles.
Strike one. Salty just over 200. He's got 5 homers. You heard Chip Hale tell Jody this morning, and Dave Stewart certainly agreed, that when you throw a no-hitter, it takes a great deal of mental energy to get to the finish line and complete the 9 innings. So today they're hoping Arrieta's mental energy is down a bit. And he's in an immediate jam after throwing a no-no his last time out. And so they thought if they could catch him on a mental or emotional letdown or setback today, after that no-hitter Sunday in LA, they might have a decent chance to get to him.
It's hard to believe anybody could have 2 starts in a row with the stuff that Jake Arrieta was featuring last time during that no-hitter. I mean, we've used the word electric to describe some of the Diamondbacks pitchers at times this year. He was hyper-electric in that game against the Dodgers.
There goes Peralta. There is no throw from Ross. Goldie wandered far off the bag, but Baez, the rookie, nowhere near the base and nowhere for Ross to throw it. So Peralta's in there at second.
There appeared to be some kind of a mental breakdown there by the Cubs. Peralta got a good jump stealing second, a full arm fake, but you can see Baez never moved. Well, once that ball gets by the hitting zone, you've got no other responsibility as a third baseman but to get over there and cover the bag. But Baez caught spectating that time.
Just called up for the minors, has been playing mostly second base. And they're at third today. That one misses. And it's a full count on Salty. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 25th pitch of this first inning from Jake Arrieta on the way. Second and third, 2 outs, 3 and 2. Got it. Diamondbacks strand 2. We are underway at Wrigley Field. Fox Sports Arizona, and your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks is the 23-year-old left-hander Robbie Ray, looking for his first win in 2 months, and Robbie has to avoid those bases on balls, and most importantly, says his pitching coach Mike Harkey, get ahead in the count.
He's got to get strike one. These are some very aggressive young hitters that if you're able to get strike one, you're going to be able to expand. But if you're always going to be 1-0, 2-1, they're going to be able to dig in there and get good swings on pitches that are probably going to have more of the plate than you want. So, you know, that's the biggest thing. The same thing I've been preaching to him the whole year, that if he's going to be successful up here, he's got to pitch ahead of the count.
They'll start with the veteran leadoff man Dexter Fowler. 4 leadoff home runs this year, so be careful with Fowler. The switch hitter batting right-handed against the lefty Robbie Ray. And Robbie working quickly. The numbers on Robbie Ray here. It's been a little up and down as of late, mostly down lately. 0-6 in his last 9 starts, coming off a no decision at Colorado on Monday.
He hasn't won a game since July 7th. Some of those through no fault of his own. He threw the ball well enough to win games. Team didn't score many runs for him, but he could really use a solid outing here as you get a look at his arsenal. He's increased the use of his two-seamer, his slider. But as always, it's all about fastball command. If Robbie can command that fastball on the corners of the plate, elevate when he wants to, keep it down when he wants to, he can probably work his way through this young, aggressive Cubs lineup.
He's immediately behind on Fowler, 3-1. Now it's a full count. Robbie in that game against the Rockies Monday tied his career high with 8 strikeouts, but walked 3 in that ball game. And the bases on balls continue to be an issue since the All-Star break. 3-2 pitch. Fowler, a tough at bat. A veteran hitter up there, 254, a career high 15 homers this year. He's had a great second half. 3rd in the league in runs scored, just between A.J. Pollock and Paul Goldschmidt. Hits this in the air, left center field. A.J.'s drifting over there, and it's out number 1. The lineup for Joe Maddon's Chicago Cubs, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz.
Dexter Fowler once again at the top, out in center field. Austin Jackson in right field. Chris Bryant has a 6-game hitting streak going, batting over 400 during those 6 games. Anthony Rizzo down at first base. Javier Baez at third today. Starlin Castro in the lineup at second base. David Ross doing the catching. Jake Arrieta, the pitcher, hitting 8th once again today. And Addison Russell, the shortstop, 2-homer ball game yesterday, hitting in the 9th spot, playing short.
Austin Jackson. There's strike 1 that Mike Harkey wanted. Jackson 3 for 10 with the Cubs, acquired from Seattle on Monday. 273 on the year and 8 homers. Jackson 1 for 4 with a single, had an RBI yesterday. Picked up to bolster the Cubs outfield during the stretch run. He's already proven to be a very timely addition. They are without slugging rookie Kyle Schwarber for this series. He's out with a right ribcage strain. Suffered Wednesday during batting practice, so they'll take another look at him next week. 2 balls and a strike to Jackson. Robbie got behind on Fowler, 3-1. Same deal with Jackson. Strike 1, 3 straight balls. And they walk him. Never a good idea to put base runners on ahead of guys like Bryant, Rizzo, and on down the list. And here is Chris Bryant, the sensational rookie. 23 years old, 269 and 22 homers, leading the National League in strikeouts. He's been occasionally something of an all or nothing guy this year. Jackson, first one out. On the ground is short. Owings, Brandon Drury, and they'll get 1. Anytime Chris Bryant hits the ball on the ground, you'll take it.
Looked like a potential double play. CO got the ball over to Drury in pretty good shape. I think Brandon just couldn't find a good handle on the baseball. Didn't want to risk a bad throw, so just hung on to it out there at second base. 2 down, runner at first.
Brandon has played a fair amount of second base, both in the fall league and in the minors this year. He has split his time between second and third. And today, getting his first big league look at second base as Anthony Rizzo steps in. 285 and 28 home runs. 4th in the National League in OPS. Just behind Goldie. A slow roller. The shift is on. Jake Lamb has it from almost on the right field line, and he throws him out. So a nice quick inning. Despite the walk for Robbie Ray, no score at Wrigley Field. 3-2 on Fowler to start the ball game. Got the fly ball out, then walked Austin Jackson. But Bob, both Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo swung at the first pitch, so we got 2 quick outs there.
Well, you love that, especially guys that maybe you haven't faced that much in the past. They still don't have a real good read on what Robbie Ray's all about when you chase that first pitch and make a quick out.
Jake Lamb in there against Jake Arrieta, the 2 Jakes, 278 and 6 home runs. And Lamb had another 2-hit game yesterday, the series opener here, including a home run into the right field bleachers. And he's down 0-2. And Jake has had 2-hit games 5 times in his last 8. And the bat has really picked up. Jake Lamb yesterday.
Unfortunately came in a losing cause, kind of got lost in the Cubs offense yesterday, but Jake Lamb with a long home run of his own into the wind to right field yesterday.
His 6th of the year. Tony La Russa said this week you can still see the learning curve at work here with Jake Lamb. A ton of potential. But Tony says still much work to do. Two and 2. Tony La Russa here on the trip. Dave Stewart here on the trip. Dr. Ed Lewis as well in the analytics department. There's Dr. Ed on the left, Tony on the right. Dave Stewart on the phone in the hall. He has been all day. That one is off the glove of Rizzo at first. It rolls into right and Lamb's aboard. 3rd hit for the Diamondbacks.
Rizzo with a diving effort right there. He deflected the ball away from Starlin Castro. Castro might have been able to make a play there in the hole between first and second base. Possibly shovel onto Arrieta covering the bag, but Rizzo deflected it away from his own second baseman.
Leadoff man on for Brandon Drury. His first career hit earlier this week at Colorado. Had another one yesterday. Series opener, 2 for 8 so far. And getting his first big league start at second base. Arrieta's out there throwing strikes. It's 0-1. Chip Hill told us before the game today they believe this was their best lineup against Arrieta. Brandon Drury has been very good at third base. He's played second base in the minor leagues, even some shortstop. And so they felt with Lamb at third, Owens at short, Drury at second, this was the way to go against one of the best pitchers in baseball. And they're anxious to get a look at Brandon Drury as a second baseman as well. So far we've just seen him at third, but Chip said he plays a really loose game defensively, which they like a lot. That was an interesting way to put it.
As opposed to a very tight game, and you can tell the difference when you see an infielder who plays tight as opposed to one who plays loose. The guys that are tight, they show it. The closer the ball gets to them with each successive bounce, you can just see their arms pulling in closer and closer to their body. You can see their hands getting stiff. They may still make the play, but looks like a lot more of an effort than a guy that's just very loosey-goosey, everything working together.
1-1. Up the middle, Arrieta snags it, and Russell turns 2. Madison Russell, a 21-year-old shortstop, and you figure to see him at short here for a long time.
The ball was a mile out of the strike zone. Somehow Drury gets a bat on it. Unfortunately, it results in weak contact right back to the mound. That's an easy 1-6-3 double play for the Cubs.
2 outs for Chris Owings.
You're talking about loose fielders as opposed to guys who are very tight. There was a time earlier this season where Chris Owings at time looked very tight at second base. He didn't have the same smoothness that we've seen from him as the season has progressed. Perhaps playing second base didn't feel quite as comfortable as he does at shortstop, but for whatever reason, he looked very tight some games early this season, but has really settled in defensively.
And he has looked very good at both shortstop and second base ends of late. What Mike Harkey was talking about with Robbie Ray getting ahead of the count, throw strike one. Arrieta has done that all day long so far. One and two. In the air to right field, Austin Jackson. Bottom two coming up, no score in Chicago.
Dodgers, the first 10,000 fans 21 and older will get a D-backs beer stein courtesy of Budweiser. Visit dbacks.com.
Cold beer be good right about now. Hot day in Chicago. I bet they're selling some old style here today.
You think?
That's a great Chicago beer. They still sell that here?
Oh, yeah. I don't think it is the official beer of the Cubs anymore. It was for years and years and years. But, yeah, you go to any one of the neighborhood pubs around the ballpark here, and they'll have old style on tap.
Set for the bottom of the second. Packed house here at Wrigley. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly, and Jody Jackson with you. Cubs and Diamondbacks, game 2 of this 3-game series on Labor Day weekend. D-backs will be back home Monday to take on the Giants. And Javier Baez, the rookie, will lead off the second against Robbie Ray. Not throwing strike one as of yet, behind on Baez. Just 9 at bats with the Cubs. He's been in the minor leagues all year. But had a big day yesterday. Tied a career high with 3 hits, including his first home run this year. 3 RBIs, a base on balls. It's kind of the way he was playing when he was in AAA. He had a 16-game hitting streak at Iowa when he was called up. 1 and 2. Getting the start today at third base. We saw him at second base in the opener. So he's a lot like Brandon Drury. They look at him at second. They look at him at third. A young guy they want to help build around, and that's what he does a lot. Strikes out. First strikeout for Robbie Ray. That big loopy swing.
Of course, Baez hasn't been here long enough to rack up the huge strikeout totals, but the Cubs do have 5 guys in their lineup with over 100 strikeouts this year. You mentioned Chris Bryant.
Woo. Bryant's leading the majors, and last year
161 so far this season.
Baez was a guy that struck out more than 40% of the time last season, which is why he was in AAA most of this year. And speaking of struggling hitters, here is Starlin Castro. He suddenly is the odd man out in Chicago, and there's at this point just speculation, but a lot of discussion here that he might not even be on the postseason roster. He has been the franchise player, quote unquote, for the last few years, but now he's sort of the guy on the sideline.
Yeah, listening to a lot of the talk radio recently here in Chicago, and the general consensus among the fans calling in and the people hosting the shows is that Castro won't make a postseason roster.
He was the starting shortstop for a long time here. It's hard to remember, he's still only 25 years old. But the job was yanked away by Joe Madden last month. The OPS has bottomed out, largely because his on-base percentage is in the 270s. And the defense has been, at best, sketchy as a part-time second baseman, now that Addison Russell is the shortstop.
Well, you really had the feeling when Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer and that group came in to take over running the baseball operations. Right away, you could tell Castro wasn't their kind of player. He's a guy that doesn't walk, doesn't hit for a lot of power, doesn't concentrate on his defense. Usually it's mental lapses that causes defensive errors.
And he drops it into right center, a one-out single.
But that's one thing he can do. Even going back to his minor league days. I remember when my son Michael gave me a scouting report. I said, what about Starlin Castro? He said, Dad, you'll see him get some of the cheapest hits you've ever seen. But he does it every day. And you look at his career numbers, this is a guy that just racks up hit totals. Some of them are weak ground balls that get through the infield. Some are little floaters like that into center. But he seemingly got them every day.
Well, remember, he's only 25. This is his age 25 season. He's already got more than 960 hits. So there is a track record. David Ross, the catcher.
But knowing how sabermetrically inclined Theo and the group are, they're probably more concerned with exit velocity off the bat and how many home runs can you hit, damage per contact ratio, all those good things. And Starlin Castro is just a guy that racks up a lot of base hits.
And a lot of errors defensively. He was benched by Madden last month, and Joe was very clear when he addressed the media. This is not a breather. This is a benching. And Madden says that Castro is a man. He can deal with it, and he's going to be better for it. Yeah, he was concerned about the emotional component of sitting him down and telling him he's no longer a starter here. But Madden in the end said, this is about the Cubs winning, and that's the mission here. That is the expectation.
Well, and a lot of Starlin Castro's issues have been documented over the years. Sometimes on Sunday Night Baseball, staring out in left field as pitches are being thrown, out of position at times, doesn't cover the right bag at the right time. And like I said, most of them just a lack of focus, a lack of concentration. He loves that time in the batter's box, but he's not so crazy about his time defensively.
Yeah, he had it was a fiasco the other day against the Reds. 3 errors at second base, 2 of them in the 9th inning.
Ugh.
And he's been playing shortstop his whole career. Now he's kind of a part-time second baseman, and it's frankly not going all that well. Ross getting the start behind the plate against the lefty Robbie Ray, so no Miguel Montero for the Cubs today. And Robbie again falling behind in the count. 3 balls and a strike. This has been the issue with him since the All-Star break. The pitch counts go up, the bases on ball totals go up. He's got more traffic around him. No chance to settle in and get comfortable, find a rhythm out there. Second walk issued by Robbie Ray. And you can see the difference here. Look at the ERA. Robbie, first half, second half. Now the bases on balls are killing him. Winless in his last 9 starts, and during that stretch he's thrown 46 innings, Robbie Ray, and he's walked 23, so he's averaging a base on balls every other inning at this point since the All-Star break, and it's just hard to pitch like that.
changes the game so much. When you've got runners on base that didn't earn their way on, it puts pressure on the defense, puts pressure on the catcher.
Well, you go back to yesterday. We saw the struggles that Zach Godley had, Bob. The Cubs got 3 runs in the first inning on 1 hit. Godley walked 4 in the first, including 3 in a row. Marietta, the pitcher, who bats 8th for Joe Madden. And where it really bites Robbie, not only just the pace and rhythm and flow of the game, which is so critical to pitchers, but he's got a lot of high leverage innings, and he needs to make big pitches a bunch of times over the course of the ball game, and that takes more out of him. And he has pitched fewer than 6 innings in 6 of his last 9 starts because the pitch count just gets out of control. Addison Russell, the shortstop, bats 9th behind the pitcher. That is the standard operating procedure for Joe Madden with Russell. You never know when Starlin Castro is just not going to be paying attention over there. That's an issue. One pitch. Joe Madden prefers hitting Addison Russell in that 9th spot. And Madden, as always, is a very interesting take on things. He says the batting order is a circular situation. It's not the Columbus batting order that falls off the face of the earth. It keeps coming round and round. That's the way Joe put it. But he likes hitting Russell 9th because it creates more RBI opportunities for the top of the lineup. So he bats behind the pitcher, who strikes out. Second strikeout for Robbie Ray. 2 down in the second. And here is Russell. Because Joe believes that once the order comes around in that non-Columbus batting order the first time through, batting 9th makes Russell really like the second leadoff hitter in a sense. There's a lot less pressure and the potential to see better pitches because the 1, 2, 3 batters are coming up behind him, and he homered twice yesterday.
He looked more like a cleanup hitter yesterday than a leadoff hitter. A couple of long home runs to left field in the ball game. So he got some cookies right down the middle of the plate.
2 on and 2 out. That is a foul ball. Russell homered in his first 2 ABs yesterday. First career multi-homer game. This was a great stat. Elias said that Addison Russell, first Cub to hit multiple homers after starting the game batting 9th since Fergie Jenkins in '71. Fergie, 10 seasons as a Cub pitcher, started against the Expos that day and homered twice.
Yeah, Fergie's going to be here at the ballpark, or is here at the ballpark today. He's singing the 7th inning stretch.
A legend. Well, he was the horse, the ace on a lot of bad Cub teams.
Just give him the ball and get out of the way.
Ferguson Jenkins.
He was here at the ballpark yesterday signing autographs for hours to help raise money for the late Ron Santos Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Sat out there for hours yesterday signing autographs, and all the proceeds went to battle juvenile diabetes.
This is their 1 and 2. Russell only 21. He was playing for Mesa in the Arizona Fall League just last year. Now here he is in the big leagues as the Cubs starting shortstop. Called up for the minors back in April. Robbie Ray strands 2. He gets 3 strikeouts in the inning and works his way around the single and the walk. We are through 2 at Wrigley Field. Diamondbacks and Cubs, no score. October 3rd, presented by Budweiser. First 10,000 fans with us at Chase Field get this Los D-backs soccer jersey, courtesy of Pepsi. Plus, fans can stick around after the game for a concert featuring Latin recording artist Luis Coronel. It's presented by Sprint and Samsung. For tickets, visit dbacks.com. Third inning in Chicago. On the score, D-backs and Cubs. Robbie Ray leads it off against Jake Arrieta. We were talking earlier about Jake Arrieta, Bob. You know, he's no kid. He's 29, but he's clearly having a breakthrough season. Diamondbacks coach is very impressed. And Chip told us this morning that there's one interesting thing about Arrieta for him, and maybe the most impressive. He's got a great mound presence. There's a crispness to his stuff. But what's interesting is it's taken him a while to get to this point. He's almost 30. And so in that sense, Chip said he's a really good model for the Diamondbacks young pitchers. You're not going to have immediate success.
Well, and he's kind of restyled the pitcher that he is out there on the mound since he was with the Baltimore Orioles. And with the Birds, he was a four-seam fastball, over-the-top curveball guy. Both very good pitches, but he tended to give up a lot of fly balls, fly ball outs, and fly ball home runs. It's coming over here to the Cubs. We talked about it earlier. More of a sinker slider kind of a pitcher. He still has the high four-seamer. He still has the curveball, but relies heavily on pitches that produce ground balls. And seems like when he made that transition, that's when the success started to come his way. You can see 36% two-seamers this year, or with the Cubs rather, as opposed to 30% with the Orioles, and the slider usage way up.
It's the evolution. Soft liner right to Russell for the first out. Jake Arrieta from Plano, Texas. He pitched at TCU and was a 5th-round pick by Baltimore in the 07 draft.
You know, and sometimes it's self-discovery. A pitcher will realize, geez, I'm getting my brains beat in. Everybody tells me I have good stuff. What's wrong? And you try to figure it out yourself and come up with a game plan to get opposing hitters out. Sometimes it's new verbiage from a pitching coach, just saying the same things but saying them in a different way that strikes a chord with a pitcher. For whatever reason, Jake Arrieta has figured it out.
Ender Inciarte tap back to the mound his first time. I told you he is 17 wins, the most in baseball. He's second in the majors in ERA. And has been excellent in Chicago. The ERA during his Cubs tenure under 2.5.
And almost the same amount of starts. 63 with the Orioles, 61 with the Cubs.
Joe Madden was talking about him, and there's Chris Bonzio, the pitching coach. And obviously, Madden watches everything from the dugout, and he said it's crazy. The ball, when you're watching on the side, looks like a wiffle ball when Arrieta is pitching, because you can see the break on the slider and the curveball. It darts and dives and drops and moves all over the place. So that's what it looks like from the Cub dugout. Imagine if you're up there trying to hit it. Starlin Castro, 2 down.
His arsenal itself, you know, that breaking pitch has been described as a slider that sometimes cuts or a cutter that sometimes slides. I think he does it intentionally. Sometimes it's a shorter, sharper breaking cutter. Other times he gets around it a little bit more. It's more of a legitimate slider with a lot of depth and a lot of downward movement. But I believe it's the same grip. It's just whether he throws it hard or takes a little bit off of it gives it a different look to the hitter.
A.J. Pollock. A.J. flied out his first time. Well, Arrieta has gotten to a 2-strike count on 8 of the first 10 Diamondback hitters. He's behind on Pollock, however, 2-0. A.J. 0 for 3 yesterday. That snapped a 4-game hit streak. It's been a sensational run for A.J. all summer long. Hard to short, and Russell is there. The Cubs shortstop of the future having a big present. Arrieta has now retired 5 in a row. He's got the 21-year-old shortstop behind him to keep it scoreless.
Jim Myers, communications manager for the Arizona Diamondbacks, is celebrating his wedding. Monica and Jim were married yesterday in nearby Valparaiso, Indiana, and they are celebrating here at Wrigley Field today with a bunch of fans over in the bleachers. And the groomsmen are all wearing D-backs jerseys, guys, and the bridesmaids are wearing great D-backs t-shirts. And Jim, I know you guys, you might not be surprised by this. He actually made elaborate 2 full pages of game notes for the wedding, and it's a bunch of incredible information. But they are really enjoying themselves out there. Congrats once again to Jim and Monica Myers, who got engaged actually in Australia, guys.
Yeah, Jim proposed on top, BB. I know you remember this, on top of the Sydney Harbor Bridge. And there's Goldie, collects that one from Fowler, and of course you pull up the walkway there all the way on the top of that bridge overlooking the great Sydney Opera House. And Jim said just to make sure he had the ring on a string so he didn't drop it into the ocean. And there's Jim and his new bride. By the way, we ran through all his game notes from the wedding. I checked with Elias and StatSync. It all checked out.
Okay, that's good.
Good work by Jimmy as always. And great to see the whole party out there wearing Sedona red on this Saturday in Chicago.
I thought he had the ring tied to a string in case he got cold feet at the last minute. He could just jerk it right back out of her hand.
We like to call that a win-win. Austin Jackson. Fortunately, he didn't need to do that.
No,
it's kind of like a Spider-Man thing. You just pull it back. So that's pretty cool. They got engaged on the trip to Australia, had the big moment on top of the bridge, and now they're married, and here they are at a Diamondback game at Wrigley Field. And Robbie Ray plunks Austin Jackson with that one. No one-out base runner. Looks like it hit him right in the foot.
That's the back foot slider, the very definition of a back foot slider. Ideally, you get the right-hander to swing at that pitch, but that time Austin Jackson just held his ground and took it off that right foot.
Now remember, in the first inning, Jackson walked with 1 out. Now he's on base here in the 3rd with 1 out. Both Bryant and Rizzo swung at the first pitch in their ABs. Bryant takes this time, and it's ball 1. Bryant was relatively quiet yesterday, 1 for 3, a single and RBI. But always a threat to go deep. This Cubs team, 67 home runs since the All-Star break. That's the most in the National League. Doesn't get the call that time either. He's behind 2-0. Bryant making just his second start ever in left field. They have the gun playing the occasional game with Bryant in the outfield. He's got a big time throwing arm and profiles pretty well as a corner outfielder. He runs well for a big guy. There's his strike. He's 6'5", 215. He's a huge kid. But they think down the road corner outfield might be the way to go here.
Especially given a lot of the other options that they have at third base. We're seeing Javier Baez play there today.
Leads the National League in strikeouts. It's 2-2.
Team home runs from rookies. No surprise the Cubs at the top of that list by a wide margin over the Tampa Bay Rays.
Jock Peterson doing most of the damage for the Dodgers.
Not much of it lately.
No. It's the 2-2 out to right. Ender Inciarte is there. Jackson will hustle back. Ender throws in and then got him. Ender Inciarte catches Austin Jackson wandering too far off the bag. And is that the end of the inning? We'll see.
The rounds crew's coming out to drag the infield, so I would assume the Cubs are not going to appeal this one.
Oh boy, that's close. Maybe they should.
Close. Anthony Rizzo still in the on deck circle. He refuses to give up. Joe Madden just waiting on their video coordinator to take a look. But generally the umpires hold the players on the field. If there's a chance there might be an appeal.
And Arrieta is coming out to the mound, so that's it. There is no challenge. A double play ends the third. No score at Wrigley. Warnings I'm sure he received about Ender Inciarte out there. Ender, anytime he has a chance, will take it.
You could almost see why Jackson was a little more aggressive than he should have been, because Ender was moving to his right over into the gap in right center, but he caught the ball, turned, and just showcased that strong throwing arm to get Jackson at first base for the double play.
Goldie leads off the fourth. And he singled his first time up against Jake Arrieta. Goldie is back. Paul and his wife Amy, proud parents of a baby boy, Jacob. Baby Jake and Mom Amy both doing fine back home, so Goldie is here with us in Chicago.
Take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the ball game today. We're going to steal the advice on how to face a knuckleball pitcher. Against a knuckleballer, they say if it's high, let it fly. Swing the bat. If it's low, let it go. Well, the same thing applies here, Wrigley, with the wind blowing out. If you get a pitch up in the zone, let it fly. And welcome back, Goldie's already made his presence felt with a base hit into right field. Just adding another title to his many. MVP candidate, All-Star, America's first baseman, and dad.
You mentioned the wind will shift here. It has now shifted hard, blowing across right to left. It's no longer blowing out as Goldie strikes out. Second strikeout for Jake Arrieta, who's retired 6 in a row.
Just a center cut two-seam fastball at 91. A little bit of tailing action. You know, we call it a sinker, but Arrieta will be the first one to admit that it doesn't really sink that much. It has some tailing action into a right-hander and gets a lot of ground balls with that particular pitch, but it's not what you would call a legitimate downer sinker.
On a hop to Castro at second, 2 outs. Brings up Saltalamacchia. Hazy and overcast here on a Saturday in Chicago.
It's probably a good thing there is some overcast, because when that sun does peek through, it is really hot.
Big football weekend here. Northwestern played a game earlier today, and Notre Dame hosts Texas, and it's nearby South Bend, about 2 hours or so. 90 minutes, 2 hours. Yeah. So our hotel is full of people wearing that burnt orange of the Texas Longhorns in town to see the Notre Dame game.
There's a lot of them here at the ballpark yesterday.
1-1. It's that time of year everybody gets cranked up with the football. In fact, it was only about 5 years ago that Northwestern and Illinois played a football game here at Wrigley Field, where the Bears played for so long. Back in the Gale Sayers days. Doug Buffone and Bobby Douglas. 1-2 pitch. Just missed the back door. Arrieta, if he gets through this, will now be closing in on 25 straight innings without allowing an earned run. Coming off the no-hitter Sunday in LA. It's been a long run for him. 2-2. Well, that's how good he has been. It's nuts, frankly. He went a perfect 6 for 6 in August, won all 6 of his starts, and over those 6 starts last month, he allowed a total of 4 runs. Only 2 were earned. That's a good month. That's a pretty good month. And he strikes out Saltalamacchia for the second time today. Arrieta has set down 8 straight Diamondbacks. Still no score. of the biggest names in UFC will face off as coaches. As interim featherweight champion Conor McGregor and Uriah Faber join an all-new season of The Ultimate Fighter. The mayhem begins Wednesday, only on Fox Sports 1. Bottom four at Wrigley Field. No mayhem as of yet here. No score. Robbie Ray and Jake Arrieta. Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, and Starlin Castro due up 4, 5, and 6 in the Chicago fourth. So far, Robbie has given up just one hit, a single. He has walked 2 and struck out 3. Rizzo grounded out into the shift his first time up, and the shift is on again. We've got Jake Lamb, the third baseman, in front of second base umpire John Tumpain out there. Brandon Drury, the second baseman, out in shallow right, and shortstop Chris Owens all by himself on the left-hand side. Rizzo, watch Rizzo's hands when he's up there. We talked about this yesterday. He stands right on top of the plate. He's been hit by pitches 25 times, the most of the major leagues, but look where his hands are, because they're kind of down there low near his waist. They're right over the middle of the plate. And sure enough, it works. He dunks it into center, a leadoff single.
To the ball. That's why he can stand right on top of the plate. Occasionally he will get jammed like he did right there, but obviously big strong guy can muscle it out into the shallow outfield for base hits, and if you happen to make a mistake, he can hit it a ton.
The leadoff man aboard. Cubs have had base runners on in every inning, but they are 0 for 5 so far with men on base. Javier Baez struck out his first time. 50 pitches for Robbie Ray, 29 strikes. Baez, speaking about his swing, they have worked on refining that big front leg kick he's got. They say he has power like you've never seen, but the problem comes when he doesn't hit the ball. Much improved this year, but still striking out 25% of the time. And he admitted he had a really hard time, and has had a really hard time, learning how to swing the way the Cubs want him to swing, which is not so big and loopy. So he has spent the entire year in the minor leagues up until this week.
Earlier, the Cubs have 5 guys with over 100 strikeouts. Bryant way over 100. You can see the Cubs lead the National League in punchouts. Diamondbacks just a couple hundred behind. One thing about Baez, he's got light tower power when he makes contact, but usually it's to his pull field. It's to left field. Because of that long loopy swing and that violent swing that he has, it's designed to pull the ball.
Look at that swing.
Yep. We talked about Chris Bryant yesterday. He sprays his home runs all over the field. His idea is just get the barrel on it wherever the ball is pitched, but Bryant is more of a dead pull power hitter when he makes contact.
You saw that front leg on that swing. It is a big-time front leg kick. And that's what they're trying to get under control. His hitting coach at AAA Iowa was Marty Peavy, and Peavy was talking about when the barrel of the bat looks like John Daly's driver. That's a big loop, and it's a big problem, and a big hole in that swing. So imagine John Daly when you see the golf swing of John Daly, the big circular motion with that giant club head out there. That's what they think Baez looks like. Takes that side, but it's full 3-2.
The Cubs lead the National League in strikeouts. They also lead the National League in walks. and they also lead the majors in most pitches seen per plate appearance.
Sabermetrics,
Which,
you were talking
I was
about.
going to say, which is all right out of the sabermetric school.
Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer running the baseball operations department here. 3-2 to Baez. Rizzo at first. Runner holds, and the pitch misses inside. Third walk issued by Robbie Ray. The first 2 have reached in the Cub fourth. Brings up Starlin Castro. Castro a base hit his first time up.
Starlin Castro may be the odd man out here in Chicago moving forward, but you certainly can't take away anything he's done up to this point. This guy's just been a hits machine.
Oh, there's a reason that a while ago they gave him a 7-year, $60 million deal. They wanted to lock him up long term. They figured he would be the centerpiece around which you'd build the ball club, but it has worked out, in fact, the other way. And again, Robbie behind in the count, 1-0. Rizzo, the runner at second. Baez at first. Two balls and no strikes. Starlin Castro. The OPS is essentially bottomed out as there's a conference on the mound here. He just doesn't get on base. He's got the 5th lowest on base percentage in the major leagues. So there's no reason to pitch around him here or anything like that, even with 2 runners on.
Castro leads the Cubs by a wide margin, grounding into double plays. He's done it 16 times this year. Nobody's done it more than 8 times on the rest of the team.
Big whiff on the 2-0.
Good changeup that time from Robbie Ray. What appeared to be an obvious fastball count, 2-0, couple runners on base. Starlin Castro got that bat started a little bit early, and Robbie Ray just pulled the string through an 82-mile-an-hour changeup.
Three and one. David Ross, the catcher, on deck. Walked Baez. Now he's behind 3-1 on Castro. Been 1 month, exactly 1 month, and Starlin Castro walked August 5th, the last time. 3-2 pitch. Base hit. They will stop Rizzo at third. Bases are loaded for the Cubs, and nobody out. Starlin Castro, despite all the troubles, 2 for 2. Mike Harkey.
Right on that one, drove it to the opposite field. You can see that big hole on the right side. Inciarte gets to the ball so quickly that Gary Jones, the third base coach, has no option but to throw up the stop sign for Rizzo. Bases loaded, nobody out for David Ross.
Conference on the mound. The Cubs, this has become a playoff atmosphere. They've obviously had very high expectations with this group of young players. Probably better sooner than people thought they would be. Right now holding the second National League wild card. So as you get closer and closer to October, the crowd's here, and they've been waiting all year for this, building up to that playoff atmosphere. It's a tough ballpark to win in. Cubs have won 15 of their last 19 here at Wrigley Field, and the Diamondbacks right in the middle of that environment. In a bases loaded, no out jam. David Ross, the catcher, walked his first time up. Ross had a double and an RBI yesterday. 192 on the year. Oh, 0-2. Robbie looks like, just guessing obviously, that Mike Harkey went out there and said, "You got that fastball, use it. Challenge these guys." That's the way he's approached this at bat, certainly. Fastball misses up, 1-2.
And of course, we don't know what was said out there at the mound, but if indeed that was part of the message, it seems like Robbie's receiving mixed messages, because they told him, you need to work on your secondary pitches, we need to see more sliders, we need to see more changeups. And so a guy that was used to throwing 80% fastballs in a game, suddenly is trying to throw back foot sliders and changeups. But yeah, when he gets in trouble, go back to that fastball. Well, why not throw the fastball and not get in trouble?
All fastballs in this at bat. You've got Rizzo at third base. He singled. Baez, the runner, at second. He walked. Castro at first after his base hit. 2-2 on David Ross. Full count. And he's gone to a full count on the last three Cub hitters. Arrieta, the pitcher, on deck. Crowd on its feet here. Robbie has thrown 18 pitches to the last three hitters and counting. A high chopper up the middle. Drury will get one, and the Cubs take the lead.
Fastball, and Ross just smothered it off of home plate, got that trampoline bounce out into the middle of the field. Unfortunately, nowhere Brandon Drury could go except to first base. Rizzo comes across with the first run of the game.
So now second and third, one out. And the pitcher, Arrieta, is the batter. Diamondbacks bring the infield in. Strike one. Other side of a bunt from Jake Arrieta. He's actually a pretty good hitter up there. Since July 7th, he's hit 286.
9 base hits on the season. One double, one triple, one homer among his 9 base hits.
So let him swing away. Talking about the fastball, slider, changeup mix, Bob, for Robbie Ray. Things were obviously before the All-Star break going very well. So maybe at that point the idea of introducing more sliders and more changeups was building on a foundation that had already been established. But now, as you try to mix things up, that foundation has got some cracks. Seems like he's sort of lost true north on his compass.
I mean, moving forward, you'd have to believe that Robbie's going to need to have better secondary pitches, but it just seems kind of odd when he was having success throwing lots of fastballs. and then has struggled recently trying to incorporate more off-speed pitches. And it may be to his benefit next year and in years to follow, but just for this season alone, it seems like he's taken a big step back by trying to increase his arsenal of pitches.
This is the mix today, about 75% fastball.
Well, you usually see a few more changeups than that and a fewer fastballs, but
he has really labored in this fourth inning. Still only one out. 2-2 pitch. Just inside. Baez really wandered far off the third base bag. He's back in time, and it's a full count again. 4 consecutive 3-2 counts for Robbie Ray. And creeping up on a 30-pitch inning. 0-6 in his last 9 starts. His 7th 3-ball count today. Russell on deck. Got him. Big out number 2 for Robbie.
Throwing a lot of pitches here in this inning. This isn't cool Coors Field at night in Colorado or air-conditioned Chase Field. You can see Robbie's losing a lot of fluid out there on the mound today, and an extended inning like this really takes a lot out of a pitcher.
Mike Harkey and Chip Hale talk about that all the time. The idea of any pitcher throwing 30-35 pitches in one single inning. That's a big red flag for them. Russell struck out his first time up. Second and third, 2 outs. This is a very patient guy up there. Top 10 in the National League in pitches seen per plate appearance. He generally does not get himself out. There's another look at that one. He's ahead in the count, 2-0. Laboring. Cloud cover overhead beginning to break. A little more sunshine now. Not quite as hazy right over the ballpark.
And that sun will affect the guys in the middle of the field right now. Shortstop, second baseman, center fielder. As the afternoon goes on, it'll shift around to the right side of the field. Right sun always a factor here at Wrigley in these day games.
Wind still blowing right to left. That's in there for a strike, and it's 2-2. But if he can get out of this mess, giving up only 1 run, that'll really be a high wire act.
Just an outstanding location right there. That's the one. Bottom of the knees, edge of the outside corner.
Those bases loaded, no outs. 2-2 on Addison Russell. Another full count. That is 5 consecutive 3-2 counts against Robbie Ray. Randall Delgado has started throwing in the Diamondback bullpen.
I saw Mel Stottlemyre Jr. give him the let's go pick it up a little bit.
Dexter Fowler, the leadoff man, is on deck. Second and third, 2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Got him, and the bat is in the seats. And everybody's okay, especially Robbie Ray. He does a tremendous job there. He really had to work, but the Cubs had bases loaded, nobody out, and they get only 1. Robbie Ray strands 2 through 4. It's 1-0 Chicago.
September 5th, 2001. Curt Schilling becomes the very first Diamondbacks pitcher to win 20 games in a season. That was a 7-2 win over the San Francisco Giants. Big Schill went 8 innings, gave up only 5 hits in that ballgame.
Well, Jake Arrieta has looked a lot like Curt Schilling today. He's retired the last 8 Diamondbacks he has faced. He's given up just 3 hits, all singles, and 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, David Ross came out between innings and took his warm-up pitches with no mask on. I thought he was going to try something new back there, but I think there was just some minor repairs needed on that goalie-style mask, and he's ready to go.
And so is Jake Lamb, who leads off the Arizona 5th. Lamb, Drury, Owing, 6, 7, and 8. Jake singled his first time up. That inning had to take a lot out of Robbie Ray, but he did a really good job to limit the damage there. Got Ross on the ground ball out to score Rizzo from third for the first run, then struck out Arrieta and Russell to strand 2. What is the difference, Bob, in your experience as both a catcher and a manager, when a guy, it's the 4th inning, it's not like the 8th or the 9th, but what kind of a toll does that take? All those high leverage pitches in that situation, bases full.
Well, a lot of it really depends on the conditioning of the pitcher on the mound. You know, if a guy's in really good shape and does his work between starts, he's a little more likely to be able to withstand those long innings and lots of pitches in one inning. But under the conditions here today, what happens is mechanically you get out of sorts. Your muscles get a little fatigued. Your legs aren't quite, as Jake Lamb takes a look at strike 3, your legs aren't quite as strong as they maybe were at the beginning of the inning, and your lower back maybe is starting to tighten up a little bit. So subsequently your mechanics get a little bit out of whack. That slider flattens out. You lose a couple miles an hour on the fastball, and that's when opposing teams can do some damage against you.
Robbie in that 4th inning threw 34 pitches. That is tied for the 3rd most he's ever thrown in one inning. Brandon Drury, a bouncer to third. Baez is there. Has a little trouble collecting it, but he throws him out. That's 10 straight set down by Jake Arrieta. Brings up Chris Owens.
Fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
We'll contrast that 34-pitch 4th inning for Robbie Ray with this 5th inning for Jake Arrieta, who has 2 outs on 5 pitches as Owing steps in. And he throws strike 1. CO really hitting the ball well lately. He has put together a nice 5-game hitting streak. 3 of those are multi-hit games. Had a double and an RBI yesterday. And Chip said today that with Nick Ahmed struggling offensively, it's been a tough go here for Nick, and Chris Owings looking much better at the plate. He will be sitting Nick Ahmed more often, and that's just the way it's going to be, especially against right-hand pitching. Chip said Nick has got to do better at the plate, especially against righties. He knows it. They want to see Drury. They want to see Goslin at both second and third, so that means Owings at shortstop and Ahmed's on the bench. As Chip said, that's what they have to do to get those other guys in there. That's the way they'll proceed. Here's an easy fly ball to left field for Bryant. Fowler ranging way over, and he's in front of the left fielder for the out. 11 straight sat down by Arrieta, who's got a 1-0 lead. Girls Clubs of America, Boys and Girls Clubs, help young people reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens through programs that promote character, leadership, education, healthy lifestyles, and a whole lot more. For more information, visit foxsportsupports.com. The D-backs contingent, that's Jim Myers there, the new groom with the fedora right in the middle. In the right field corner, or the all-new outfield sections they've got there for the fans at Wrigley Field. Must have been a great wedding reception last night. The dude in the middle looks a little worn out. Out there in the sun and the humidity. Dexter Fowler gets this one up in the air. Left field, and that ball is gone. A home run. 16th for Fowler, and it's 2-0 Cubs. Dexter Fowler, 12 of his 15 home runs had come batting left-handed. That's his power side. But he powers that one up from the right-hand batter's box, and it's 2-0 Chicago.
Got a pitch up in the zone. He kind of styled and profiled there. That ball barely cleared the left field fence.
They're feeling pretty good about themselves right
they
now.
are.
Austin Jackson.
Let's see if that's the after effect of that long last inning by Robbie Ray.
It's the 7th home run given up this year by Robert. And he's ahead of Jackson 0-2. Randall Delgado continuing to warm up with the Diamondback bullpen. Robbie approaching 90 pitches. Coming off that 34 pitch fourth, in which the Cubs had the bases loaded and no outs and got just one. 2-2. Called strike 3. 6th strikeout for Robbie. One down in the 5th.
Good bounce back at bat right there after giving up the home run to left field. And Dexter Fowler comes back and dots that outside corner, mid thighs. It's called strike 3.
With that fastball, how many sliders and changeups do you think he really needs to throw to succeed as a starting pitcher?
I think the game will tell you that. I mean, if he can establish the fastball early in the game and the fact that he will command it, that'll get the respect of the opposing hitters. Then when you find yourself in obvious fastball counts, second or third time through a batting order, that's when you can sneak in a straight changeup every now and again. If you get a guy to a 2-strike count, maybe bounce a slider in the dirt where they can't get to it. But this is my first look at Robbie Ray this season, any extended amount of time, and it's very clear to me that everything for him is about his fastball. If he's commanding that, he doesn't really need a slider. For me, it would be a show-me pitch. Occasionally on 2 strikes, bounce it down there near the back foot, see if you can get a guy to chase. Well, he took a lot off of that breaking ball. And if you see opposing hitters are starting to catch up to your fastball and you're having trouble locating it on a given day, those are the days maybe you need to go to a plan B. But if you're locating your fastball, stick with your strength.
0-2 on Chris Bryant. Hard to beat a Saturday afternoon in this place.
Or a Saturday night in this neighborhood.
Bryant, who leads the National League in strikeouts, punches out. That's 7 for Robbie. 2 down. And the neighborhood around here with the Cubby Bear and Murphy's Bleachers and all the establishments in the neighborhood.
You can't count them all.
A lot of fun.
And no matter who you root for, no matter which college you root for, there is a bar in town that'll be flying your flag on Saturday afternoons. They have Nebraska Cornhusker bars and Ohio State Buckeye bars and Stanford Cardinal bars.
We haven't been to any. We're just,
none. They just heard, just anecdotally, I've heard that there are lots of places that sell adult beverages.
Well, the best bar in the entire city are the bleachers in this ballpark. You cannot beat it. For atmosphere, just go out there, have a couple of beers, put your feet up. Everybody's out there. It's very social out there. It's a lot of fun.
And one thing a lot of people don't realize here at Wrigley, the first 2 rows in the outfield bleachers are strictly occupied by people who want to be hitting coaches, and they're willing to help opposing players.
Just an added benefit.
Oh, man.
You heard 1 or 2 words of advice?
Well, yeah, absolutely. They'll help you out as much as they can. You got no chance today, Brenly. You might as well ask out of the lineup right now.
0-2 on Anthony Rizzo. Called strike 3. Robbie Ray gives up the homer and then gets 3 strikeouts. That's another 8 strikeout game. He struck out 8 Rockies on Monday. That ties his season high. But the Cubs add 1, and through 5, they lead it 2-0.
Let's take a look at the timeless moment brought to you by Coors Banquet. You're going to love this one, partner. It is National Cheese Pizza Day.
Oh, wow. This is like a holiday for you.
Yeah, the first pizza establishment was opened in 1905. Where else? In New York's Little Italy. And we've got some great video to celebrate National Cheese Pizza Day.
What'd you come up with?
Fenway Park, April 16th, 2007. Foul ball over in the corner.
Here it comes. Right there.
Have a piece of pizza, you bum.
It's a Pats fan, a proud Pats fan. Disregard.
That man should be ejected for wasting pizza.
Guy was probably a Yankee fan and deserved it. As Manny Tomas will hit for Robbie Ray as we lead off the 6th. That's it for Robbie, who threw 96 pitches in 5 innings, gave up 2 runs, and tied his career high with 8 strikeouts. Tomas quickly down 0-2. 2 for 20 as a pinch hitter this year. And he strikes out. 12 in a row set down by Jake Arrieta. I would love to know the psychology of why the Patriots fan felt he needed to throw a slice of pizza at the guy who was like, I don't know, 5-6 seats down.
And it looked like a whole slice of pizza. It wasn't like it was done and he threw the crust at the guy. He threw the whole slab at him.
Which at Fenway Park cost you like $16. Ender Inciarte 0 for 2. You know what I like to throw a piece of pizza at? Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
For what he tried to do to Tommy Brady. Here's the throw. Watch the Pats fan. The guy had beer spilled on him from behind. Then he gets the pizza in the neck. pro. Why'd you do that?
Steve Bartman got off easier than that.
Wow. 96 for Marietta. He's ahead 0-2. That one will roll to Rizzo. Spins and throws. Arrieta's there. 2 down.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs win, you win. Where else? At Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
I imagine that must have been traumatic for you to see that. Someone wasting an entire slice of pizza.
Inexcusable.
A.J. Pollock go for 2. Well, this is the 3rd time now through the order against Jake Arrieta. So far, he's given up only 3 hits, all singles. Coming off the no-hitter Sunday in L.A. Had 12 strikeouts in that ball game. He's punched out 5 so far here.
To send out birthday wishes to a couple of twins celebrating a birthday today back in Peoria, Arizona. Dylan and Peyton Schramm. Now their grandpa Keith works here at Wrigley Field. He's the gentleman we pass every day. First guy you see in the morning, last guy you see in the afternoon when you leave.
Sure.
Yeah, Keith wanted us to send happy birthday wishes to Dylan and Peyton.
Peoria, nice.
Keith, in his spare time, likes to not do crossword puzzles, make crossword puzzles.
Well, somebody's got to.
Yeah, somebody has to.
That must be harder, I imagine, than solving it.
I would think so. If I had to make a crossword puzzle, it would be all 3-letter words. It would be about 4 of them.
Sounds like one of my Scrabble games. That missed away, 2-2. Arrieta trying to clean up over there. Maybe a little stretching. Got to be hot in that beard.
I think so.
2-2 pitch. And struck him out. Jake Arrieta has now retired 14 consecutive Diamondbacks and leads it 2-0.
Fans here at Wrigley Field. He's the grandpa, the one to send birthday wishes to Dylan and Peyton back in Peoria. That's one thing about Wrigley Field. You come out here, and for the regulars, you see the same ushers, the same usherettes, the same security guards, the same people doing the same job. They know your name, you know their name. It's just a real family atmosphere here at Wrigley.
Well, here's a new guy, Randall Delgado, going to open up the 6th inning for the Diamondbacks. Javier Baez, Starlin Castro, and David Ross, 2 up, 5, 6, and 7. Baez has struck out and walked. Has to drop down a bunt, but he fouls it off. It's like Cheers. Everybody knows your name. You walk. I've seen that. You walk in, everyone goes, Bob! You're like Norm around here. Miami. Boy, that swing. Holy Toledo. That's like 2 swings. That's like circumnavigating the globe.
You know, occasionally you'll see a hitter in a 2-0 or a 3-1 count in a blowout ball game. I'm going to showcase my best home run swing here. I'm going to swing as hard as I can. But then after you do that, you get back into your mechanics and stay within yourself and do all those good things you're supposed to do, or at least the things your hitting coach wants you to do. But Baez has his showcase home run swing every time he swings.
Well, they're trying to work him out of that. 1-2 pitch. Here it is again. And even on 2 strikes, he's swinging like that.
Yeah, this is not a cut down your swing and put it in play approach right here.
You think?
I was shocked to see him try to bunt for a base hit. I have never seen that from Javier Baez at any level of baseball.
Well, he had a pretty good year at AAA Iowa this year. He hit .324 there. Had 61 RBIs in 70 games. And he spent the entire year down there working on that swing. Did miss 2 months. He broke a hand at one point. And also had the terrible death of his sister, who passed away after a long illness. So he's been through a lot this year. And that thing is still hurting. On the ground to Chris Owings. One away. Hey fans, now is the time. Tweet us your strongest fan photo. Use the hashtag AZDataStrongFan, and you just might see your fan photo and a Diamondback broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Starlin Castro 2 for 2. Diamondback fans all over the ballpark here today. Got a whole bunch of sponsors in from the Valley, spending the weekend with us in Wrigley Field. A lot of D-backs fans here from all over the country, including the Jim Myers wedding party, which has taken over the right field corner. I saw Bill Welke turn and look up to the press box. That's enough with the walk-up music. He's in the box. That was a great human moment right there. Really? Turn that off. Let the walk-up music play a little too long for the home plate umpire's liking.
That's another change.
Watch Bill Welke. Turn it down.
Knock it off, will ya?
I'm working here.
Was that something new here at Wrigley? It used to be Gary Pressey on the organ, and when he would play some walk-up tune for every hitter, but no longer.
Kind of miss that, actually. You can never have, for me, too much organ music at the ballpark. It's one of the worst things now about Dodger Stadium. I mean, poor Nancy B, she barely gets to play anymore. Now they're playing rap music and all kinds of techno pop through the Death Star speaker in center field. Reaches out and hits a bouncer to shortstop. Seo one more time. He has been really smooth, Bob. You were talking about that earlier. Just really smooth defensively. Like he doesn't have a care in the world out there.
Look, he's just, everything has slowed down for Seo defensively. Early in the season, it was like every play was bang, bang over there at first base, and he was rushing every throw to get it over there in time. But I think he realizes he's got more time than he thinks. He's a tremendously gifted athlete. Very quick feet, very strong arm. You just trust your skills. Trust your instincts.
comment is we mentioned earlier, and Chip Hale told us again yesterday, that Nick will be sitting for the most part from here on in against right-hand pitchers as they get a look at Phil Gosselin and Brandon Drury at both second and third. That means Owings plays short, which is Chris's natural position. So it's hardly a surprise that he should look comfortable and natural down there. That's where he's used to playing. You forget that because he's played so much second base this year. Moss hits a fly ball to A.J. Pollock in center, backing up just shy of the warning track, and Randall Delgado works a 1-2-3-6. We head to the 7th. Diamondbacks down 2-0.
Here as a Cub. I was also talking to Luis Gonzalez about his time at Wrigley, and he has a story, guys, that is hard to top. As a member of the Astros, he was going back on a ball that was flying out to the wall, to the ivy, and a man spread a chalky powder on him. It was actually the man's father's ashes. He wanted it spread on the ivy, and he was going to do it during the 7th inning stretch, but decided with Gonzo going back for the ball that the TV cameras would be on him. And yeah, Gonzo said that was one of the stranger moments in his life. But these are the diehard fans at Wrigley Field, guys.
Goldie leads off the 7th. That is weird, wild stuff.
That is.
Jake Arrieta has retired 14 consecutive Diamondbacks. He's given up only 3 hits, all singles. Right now, Arrieta has faced only 2 over the minimum after he threw a no-hitter at Dodger Stadium on Sunday. Unless the gentleman put in his will, I want my ashes laid to rest on top of Luis Gonzalez. Now, that's understandable. Could have just been a coincidence.
Carried out his wishes.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite bleacher bum stories is my old buddy Mike Krukow. When he was pitching here for the Chicago Cubs, he had just gotten called up before a Saturday day game, just like this. And he was running along the warning track in the outfield with a couple of fellow pitchers, as they do before the ball game. And every time he would run by a section out in left center field, this fan would yell down, "Hey, number 39, what's your name?" And Krukow would just keep running, try to ignore it, act like a big leaguer. He'd come back by again. "Hey, number 39, what's your name?" And Krukow ignored him every time. Well, finally, on the last lap, as he came by, the fan yelled one more time, "Hey, 39, what's your name?" And Krukow said, "Buy a program, meat." And without missing a beat, the bleacher bum said, "I did, and you ain't in it."
They are right on top of you here.
You're better off just taking the abuse and not trying to outwit them, because they'll get you every time. They study your minor league numbers. They know where you went to college. They know your wife's name and how many kids you have.
How about the bullpen? That must be fun. I mean, they're 3 feet behind you. and are on the same level. Well, sort of on the same level.
Well, the Dodgers back in the day had a all-out brawl down there in the bullpen.
Somebody said the wrong thing.
Chad Kruger, a catcher for the Dodgers, backup catcher for the Dodgers at the time, a fan came down and grabbed his hat right off his head while he was sitting down there in that bullpen. And
yeah, that's it.
One thing led to another, and before you know it, you had a bunch of Dodgers up in the stands throwing fists and fans throwing beer, and they had to call in security to break it up.
3-2 to Goldie. Got him. 7 strikeouts for Jake Arrieta, who has been nearly as effective today as he was Sunday in L.A.
Pitch up and out of the zone that time. Goldie just trying to tomahawk it toward left field.
7 strikeouts, no walks, just 3 singles against him. Here's David Peralta, who has one of those base hits. He's 1 for 2.
Partner, I think I figured it out.
What's that?
Jake Arrieta in the first inning was pitching to David Ross, and David Ross did not have his cheat sheet wristband on.
Look at that.
That shot on the left was from the first inning of the game, and ever since he's been wearing that Cubs wristband. It's kind of like the one the quarterbacks wear. They lift it up, and all the signs are on there for David Ross and Jake Arrieta. They didn't have that on in the first inning. Diamondbacks got 2 base hits. They've only had 1 since.
I mean, what are they running, the triple option down there? I mean, how complicated can it be?
I don't know. You make it. You want to make it hard enough that the other team can't steal it, but easy enough so that your own people can read them. I don't think it's that tough myself, but
Ross and Lester, yesterday, they were, for a guy that's supposed to be his personal catcher, they were not together. There's a nice stop by Castro from the outfield fence. 2 down. Well, rarely does Joe Madden ever allow his starters. You were talking about the whole sabermetric thing here. That's the way they look at baseball at Wrigley Field these days. And sabermetrics will tell you that the 3rd time through an order against any starting pitcher, the batting average and the on-base percentage go way up. So Madden rarely lets his starting pitcher face an opposing lineup 3 times through. However, big shocker, Jake Arrieta is the exception, not just today, but always. And we're finding out why right here. Saltalamacchia, who struck out twice, down 0-1. That's why right there. That is impressive.
I think that gets back to his wide arsenal of pitches. He can get by with a sinker-slider combination if everything's working and he's commanding the ball. But if he needs to, he can throw a curve, he can throw a straight changeup, he can elevate a 4-seam fastball in the upper 90s. He's got weapons that he won't show you the first 2 times through the order, but you will see him the 3rd time.
Still throwing hard at 96 here in the 7th. 1-2 on Salty.
A good mix right there.
Great Ferguson Jenkins is in the Cubs TV booth with Glenn and JD just to our right, about to sing the 7th inning stretch. 2-2. Salty 52 games with the Diamondbacks going into today. He's at about 230 with 4 home runs. Big bat off the bench. He's played some first base. Obviously he's caught. Done a nice job. He's been a nice acquisition. That's this up in the air, deep to right center field. Backing up, and that ball is going to reach the wall and one hop the wall. A 2-out double for Jared Saltalamacchia. And that's the first Diamondbacks base hit or base runner since Jake Lamb singled a lead off the 2nd. Arrieta had retired 16 in a row.
And even a book rule double comes back on the field that time.
You were talking, Bob, about how Fowler plays really shallow.
Really shallow for everybody, even guys that have power. And that time Jared Saltalamacchia makes him pay. That ball was in the air for a long time, but you can see Fowler had a long way to go to catch up to it. and up and over.
Just the D-backs' fourth hit. Here's Jake Lamb, who was singled and struck out. Arrieta at exactly 100 pitches, 67 for strikes. Jake homered here yesterday. There's ball one. Two-hit games 5 times in his last 8, hitting just under 370 in his last 8 games. He's able to check there, and he's ahead 2 balls and no strikes. Brandon Drury would be next. He's on deck. A fair ball. Arrieta's on it, and he throws it offline. Lamb's aboard. The throw pulls Rizzo off the bag, says John Hirschbeck down there, and Rizzo wants a replay. He immediately signaled to Joe Madden and the Cubs coaches, let's challenge this one. Here's a look.
Arrieta barely had that ball on his fingertips as he made that throw, and if Rizzo did stay on the bag, it looked like they beat him over there. Pretty nice defensive play by the Cubs first baseman.
They are going to put the headsets on. This is a Cubs challenge, another replay review brought to you by Mix One.
We were just talking about that yesterday with Yasmani Tomas playing first base for the Diamondbacks. Those kinds of plays, if you're a first baseman by trade, it's just natural instinct. You see that throw going into foul territory, you shift your feet, you stretch out into foul territory and make the play.
Here's the key. On the board right now, on both of them, in fact, they're freezing the play before the ball is in the back of Rizzo's mitt. It's not a catch, and we've said this a million times, until the ball is in the back of the pocket. And they keep freezing it here in the ballpark before it gets there. There, it's in the back of the mitt, and you see the foot. That's an important distinction here, and the call is overturned. That's the end of the inning. The save call at first overturned. It's still 2-0 Cubs as we stretch at Wrigley. in the 7th inning stretch. Take me out to the ball game at Wrigley Field, and there is Fergie's flag in the corner.
One of the real nice touches here, the numbers that have been retired by the Cubs organization flying on the flag poles, or rather the foul poles down the right and left field line.
And as we get set for the bottom of the 7th inning after the 7th inning stretch, new pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the right-hander David Hernandez. Joe Madden going to stick with Jake Arrieta. He'll lead off the 7th. Arrieta 0 for 2. He struck out twice. First appearance this year for David, a 4.62 ERA. Got a note from Joe Brand, Bob, who is the voice of the Kane County Cougars, actually right near here in Illinois. The Cougars last night clinched the second half division championship. Zach Curtis still leads the league, a franchise record 32 saves. He was at Hillsborough last year, Zach Curtis. Has pitched very well at Kane County this year, the closer. And 4 Kane County Cougars are in the top 10 in the league in batting average. Nice. That team is loaded as Hernandez strikes out Arrieta. So congratulations to the Kane County Cougars, the Diamondbacks Class A affiliate. The playoffs start on Wednesday, and they will be there.
Stay hot.
Yeah. Thanks to Joe Brand, who does a great job of broadcasting Kane County Cougar games.
Of course, Kane County Cougars used to be a Chicago Cubs affiliate, which once again was very convenient. Guys that needed to go out on a rehab assignment. If the Iowa Ball Club, the AAA club, was off on the road somewhere, you could just shoot guys right down the freeway to Kane County, let them get their at-bats or their innings pitched, and drive right back to Chicago after the ball game.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks and Cubs, these are the low A affiliates. Visalia is high A for the D-backs, but the D-backs and Cubs, I believe, switched their low A affiliates, South Bend and Kane County. South Bend was a D-backs team last year. Now it's the Cubs low A team. Well, that Kane County team, we've watched them all year. They're ridiculous. Rolling with the 27 Yankees. 1-2 on Russell, who was struck out twice. Big difference for Addison Russell. First 2 at bats yesterday, homered. So far today, 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Still just a 2-0 ball game in the bottom of the 7th. Each team with 4 hits. If you're a D-back fan and you're a guy who watches the minor leagues and looks up numbers and stuff like that, look up Zach Curtis. He's really impressed so far. 2 seasons in the organization as a closer. And one of the guys the Diamondbacks got in the original Trevor Cahill deal, Victor Reyes, had been playing at Kane County. He had a 305-game homerless streak. That ended last night when they clinched. This is another home run perhaps for Russell. It's at the track, and fortunately Peralta runs it down right in that well. He hit it to the wrong side of the well.
Yeah, if that ball is hit, 20 or 30 feet further toward the gap in left center, it just sneaks up into the basket. But David had just enough room where that wall goes back a little bit to curl around the corner there and make the catch.
2 down for Dexter Fowler. Fowler homered his last time up, back from the left-hand side. How about that? Victor Reyes of the Kane County Cougars, 1,092 at-bats without a home run. But the other night he got a 3-run homer in his first professional home run. And it was believed to be the minor league's longest homerless streak. So everything's going right for that team.
What have you been saving them for?
The stretch drive. Speaking of home runs and offense, what a difference these 2 games yesterday. 19 runs were scored, 22 hits. Today, 2 runs on 8 hits between the two teams. The bullpen will get busy. Pedro Strop. 3-0 on Fowler. And walk him. Hernandez comes in, gets a strikeout to fly ball, but walks Fowler with 2 down. And here's Austin Jackson. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. Well, Jared Salkia makes a mound visit. 3rd inning. Ender Inciarte catches Austin Jackson a little too far off the first base bag after the fly ball by Chris Bryant. They get the double play.
At the time, yeah, he's moving to his right a little bit out there in right field toward the gap, made the catch, quickly planted his feet and fired that ball back to second base. Shouldn't really have had any chance to get Jackson, but ended up turning it into an inning-ending double play.
Here's strike 1. Jackson has walked, been hit by a pitch, and struck out. Bright sunshine now, that cloud cover overhead, kind of a little more of a haze than anything else, is starting to break up a bit. Pretty much blue sky overhead now. And very little wind at all blowing right to left. Dexter Fowler, 17 stolen bases this year. He's been caught 7 times. So look at the, well, really just a breeze at this point. Yesterday blowing straight in off the lake right toward us behind home plate. Hey, cut by Jackson, down 0-2.
David just reared back that time and threw a 94-mile-an-hour heater right past him. They're around belt high, maybe a little higher.
Funny with Fowler at first base, they actually got Austin Jackson because they believed they needed Fowler insurance. He was the one guy on the team, their center fielder and leadoff man. They didn't really have a backup player for in case he got hurt, so they got Jackson. And now he's played a lot more corner outfield than he has center. And he's played a lot more than they thought he would. A nice right hand bat, Austin Jackson. They've had some trouble against left hand starters this year, so they picked up the extra right-hand outfield bat, and Austin Jackson from Seattle on Monday. And he strikes him out. Second strikeout for David Hernandez, who strands the 2-out walk. And we'll go to the 8th inning. Diamondbacks are down 2-0. Here's what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Brandon Drury, the rookie, leads off the game. middle for his first 2 big league hits. He also, after that first career hit at Colorado, made this terrific play at third base. Had another base knock yesterday against John Lester up the middle. And he's starting at second base today. He's made a very good impression.
Yeah, it looked a little bit like Troy Tulowitzki making that jump throw from foul territory all the way across the diamond. And his approach so far has been to stay up the middle of the field. Both of his hits have come right back over the pitcher's head.
Well, you said the magic words right there. Troy Tulowitzki, Brandon Drury's favorite player when he was younger. It's funny to think of Tulo as that old, but was Troy Tulowitzki. He is a big-time Tulo fan. And it's not hard to see the similarities in the way they approach going about their business. He seems to have that makeup. This is a confident kid who is very serious and very deliberate about his profession. And he takes his baseball very seriously. Chip told us this morning, this is a kid who thinks baseball at all times. And that certainly describes Troy Tulowitzki. Jake Arrieta back out there to start the 8th. Spend the rest of this month getting looks at both second and third base at Brandon Drury and Phil Gosselin for that matter. To try and get an idea of where things are in the infield as we head into the wintertime and what changes they might want or need to make.
Obviously, you'd like to be in a pennant race at this time of year. Every game, every at bat, every pitch meaning something. But, you know, when you find yourself in the situation the Diamondbacks are in, you can still get some value out of these games.
Addison Russell.
Guys involved in the mix out there in the middle infield. All get chances to get at bats to show what they can do at the various positions. So it's a little bit almost like a spring training situation here in September. Everybody's going to get playing time. Everybody's going to get at bats. You're going to play different positions, and then we'll make a decision in the offseason moving forward next year into spring training.
10 ground ball outs now for Jake Arrieta. Nick Ahmed, we'll talk about that. Chip told us this yesterday and again today that Nick will lose some playing time here. That's just the way it's going to be. And here's Chris Owens. They want to see Drury. They want to see Gosselin, both second and third. That means Owens plays short a lot of the time. Ahmed is on the bench. Pitcher spot due up next for the D-backs. Wellington Castillo, the former Cub, on the on-deck circuit. 0-2 on Owens. Tony La Russa was on the radio this week, in fact, with Doug and Wolf, talking about that. The Diamondbacks, he said, are going to have a very exciting, competitive situation regarding who plays the other 3 infield spots with Goldie. And he says that is the best thing for the Diamondbacks organization and our fans, to have a competition. They want to have guys who earn their spots at second base, shortstop, and third. And these are guys that Tony says, no, they're being threatened. Their jobs are on the line here. There's competition. They know the outfield works, he says. They're fine there. What's left for next year is to plug in the right infielders. Now that's what they are looking at all this month.
Does that put a lot of pressure on some of those guys? Absolutely. And you want to see who will respond under pressure. That's what you want, the kind of guys that look forward to those situations. Where I'm being compared to these other 2 or 3 players and the best guy is going to win a starting job. You want the guy that looks forward to that opportunity and that challenge.
It's crowded in there right now for sure. 2-2 now. You've got Ahmed and Owens who can play short. You've got Aaron Hill and Drury and Gosselin and Owens who can play second. You've got Lamb and Gosselin and Drury in the mix at third. All kinds of different ways to go there.
Aaron Hill has another year left on his contract.
Absolutely. So they need to look and they need to evaluate. And this is the best way to do that. It's a lazy fly ball out to Jackson in right field. 2 down. Do you value this? If you were the evaluator right now, would you value 2-3 weeks of September at bats, or would you value 5-6 weeks of spring training next year?
Oh, absolutely, this more so than spring training.
Why so?
Well, because these games count. The numbers go on the back of your baseball card. Spring training is spring training. You can spin it any way you want. And granted, there are a lot of competitions in spring training. But, you know, who are you facing? Are you facing a 19-year-old kid who's a non-roster invite to spring training, or are you facing Jake Arrieta in a pennant race?
Pretty good litmus test.
Yeah.
Wellington Castillo recalled after Owings flied out. Instead, they send up Phil Gosselin, who we were just talking about. Phil at 316 and a home run. And it seems like they're very happy with what they have here. This guy has looked really good. 5 for 17, 2 doubles and a home run in 5 games so far. He's also walked 4 times. And he can play second, he can play third. I thought that was a very interesting comment that Tony made to Doug and Wolf this week. They know the outfield works. What's left for next year, plug in the right infielder to go along with Goldie. Rizzo's pretty good too. Arrieta works a 1-2-3-8 with a 2-0 lead. Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by Hayward Pool Products. Discover reliable, powerful pool cleaning with the new Aquanaut Pool Cleaner. And by Phoenix International Raceway. Join PIR on November 15th for NASCAR. Visit us at phoenixraceway.com and get your tickets now. Lake Michigan. Here in downtown Chicago, our Gila River game summary. Jake Arrieta threw 116 pitches when he no-hit the Dodgers on Sunday in L.A. He's thrown the exact same number so far through 8 innings here. With 4 hits, the Diamondbacks trail at 2-0. As Daniel Hudson is on to face Chris Bryant in the bottom of the 8th. A lovely shot of the beach along Lake Michigan.
Avenue Beach, that used to be home sweet home.
You were down there on the beach?
Yeah, well, not on the beach, actually. I was across the street and next to the park right there, but North Avenue Beach just steps away from my front door.
Great spot. Yeah, were you fishing or swimming?
Neither. Tell you what, though, there used to be some highly competitive 16-inch softball games. As you see Daniel Hudson's numbers this season.
Now that's a Chicago thing where they play with like the volleyball size softball.
It's a huge 16-inch around. Yeah, it's a big old mush ball. And you play without gloves. And boy, I'm telling you, in the summertime the leagues crank up and there are games going on from 5 o'clock in the afternoon until after midnight there at Lincoln Park.
It's rare that you don't see that anywhere else but here, it seems like. Very much a Chicago thing. 2-2 on Chris Bryant. Bryant's only gotten 1 hit in the series so far. He's been relatively quiet. He strikes out. Second time today that Bryant has struck out. 1 away in the game.
All those pitches on the outer third of the plate or on the corner or even farther away. Some very defensive swings that time by Bryant.
D-backs put the shift on now for Anthony Rizzo. Jake Lamb moves to the second base spot. Brandon Drury out in shallow right. Rizzo singled and scored in the 4th. He's 1 for 3. 1 home run shy of 100 for his career. If you go back to the start of the 2013 season, Giancarlo Stanton, the only National League player with more home runs than Anthony Rizzo. That one up in the air. Very shallow left center. 4 guys got this surrounded. And it's Jake Lamb from where he was standing near the second base spot. So that's a pop up to the third baseman.
In left center field.
Exactly. Hey fans, now's the time. As promised, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo. Tweeting your strongest fan photo to AZ Data Strong fan. Mark in the house. That's brought to you by T-Mobile. Javier Baez. 0 for 2 with a walk. Diamondbacks in the 9th inning. Down 2-0 to this point. We'll have the top of the order. And Ciarte, Pollock, Goldie.
All appearances, it's going to be against Pedro Strop, who continues to throw down in that Cubs bullpen. Oh, I'm sorry, Rondon. I thought it was Strop. They had him up earlier.
1-1. There he is. Hector Rondon. There's a drive to right center. AJ is on it, and Daniel Hudson works a 1-2-3-8. Diamondbacks are down 2-0 as we go to the 9th in Chicago. The Cox Gig Live high-speed highlights, 9th inning here at Wrigley Field. Just 8 hits between the the 2-ball club. Big contrast to yesterday's series opener. The Cubs lead it 2-0. And their closer is on to open up the ninth. This is the big right-hander, Hector Rondon. Don't hear a lot about this guy as a closer, but he has been unbelievable. He has converted 25 of 29 save opportunities, a 1.50 ERA. Ender and Ciarte, A.J. Pollock and Paul Goldschmidt, 1, 2, and 3 in the Arizona ninth. Defensive changes behind Rondon. Chris Bryant moves in from left field to third base, replacing Javier Baez, and Chris Denorfia, the former Padre, is in left. Ender 0 for 3. Rondon, it squirts through. And there is no play, and Ciarte's aboard. And the Diamondbacks get the tying run to the plate. A base hit for Ender.
Rondon perhaps fooled. He maybe thought that ball was hit a little harder than it really was. Ends up on his backside. Got underneath him all the way out to the middle of the infield. No play.
A.J. Pollock 0 for 3.
Did you make the same mistake I did?
Yeah, because they didn't announce it.
Yeah. They moved Baez from third to second when they moved Bryant from left to third. So Castro is actually the guy that's out of the game, and Denorfia will go into that spot.
Sixth spot of the Cub order. I often don't announce this, and you got to kind of figure it out as the inning goes on.
When the music stops, grab a position.
Denorfia hits sixth. Baez moves to second. Chris Bryant. They get one. They get two. Bryant just moved into third and quickly 2 down.
We talked about it yesterday. Occasionally he has a little trouble getting the ball out of the glove. He uses such a big third baseman's glove, but that time shoveled on to Baez, and plenty of time for him to complete the relay and double up A.J. Pollock.
2 down for Goldie, strike one. Goldie singled in the first. He has struck out his last 2 times up, 1 for 3. Ball and a strike. Tony La Russa was talking this week about Goldie late in games in just these situations, and said that Goldie really plays the scoreboard. If they need him to start a rally or get one going, to add to it or finish one off with a single, he will do that. He plays baseball. He doesn't just swing for the numbers. They need a base runner here. And he drives it to left, and that's your base hit. And once again, the D-backs get the tying run to the plate. Just what Tony was talking about. Our State Farm report of the ball game, Peter O'Brien. I might see him up here at some point over the next month or so. 3 for 4 yesterday for the Aces against El Paso, and red hot lately. 2 down. Goldie at first for Peralta. David a single in the first. He's 1 for 3. Goldie will take second. That one rolls to first. Rizzo, Rondon, ball game. Well, a Wrigley slugfest yesterday, 14-5. The Diamondbacks lost it, and they lose a pitcher's duel in a sense here, 2-0. and the Cubs take the series.
As good and as dominating as Jake Arrieta was today, this ball game was in question right up until the final out. A 2-run ball game. Diamondbacks just couldn't come up with the big knocks once again today when they needed them.
Diamondback Live postgame show is next. Joe Madden and his Cubs have taken the first 2 games of this series here at Wrigley Field on a hot and humid Saturday in Chicago. 2-0 the final. Reaction from Clubhouse is next on Fox Sports Arizona.